What's up, YouTube friends and family? I want to thank everybody out there for coming along with me on this journey on the passport. So this particular video is going to be about the DS-11, how to fill it out from the beginning stages to the end with everything we've known thus far, all updates, all the things. Now remember, this is educational information purposes only, and this is for U.S. nationals, not for those people who are lovely U.S. citizens. Sheeple, do your thing. This is for us only, private information on a public platform, whatever. All right, so thank you guys for those people who have been donating. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing, if you're going to do the process our way, which the proof is in the pudding, we've already been getting the results we wanted. I mean, we've got a 95% success rate, so let's keep jamming. That being said, you're going to want to utilize your certificate of live birth or your birth certificate. If you use those, you're going to want to send them out to be authenticated. Okay, that means you're bringing them back into the United States of America. It's a jurisdictional thing, people. And once you do that, it's going to cost you like $8 per, file that you send. State is taking 2 to 3 weeks for sure. Federal is taking 3 months thus far. Okay, so what you want to do is at least do it on the state level, and at some other point in time, I'd probably do it on the federal level. But definitely at least do the state for this process. And when they ask you what country that you're dealing with, because they will, you're going to want to use like Venezuela or Taiwan, which is a non-Hague Convention jurisdiction. Okay, so don't say USA or something like that. Tell them you're doing business with Venezuela or Taiwan. You can look up non-Hague Convention countries, and it'll explain it there. Okay, do your research. Remember, educational information only. So that's where you start. Now we get to the application, which you can do at any point in time, but you have to wait till those materials come back before you submit it all in. Okay. I would say at least get the U.S. passport card. That's going to be like $30. The book is going to be about $130, $160, something like that. And don't forget, when you submit it, you have to set up an appointment at your various federal agency, consulate, USPS, courthouse, whatever, before just walking in. Have all your materials ready, go over it 2 or 3 times. And remember, guys, always provide more than enough information, not just the bare minimum. Add extra stuff, and I'll explain. I'll get to that. So remember, the book is good for going over the big pond, okay? But only the card is only used for travel within the international areas. So, like, United States, cruises that take you out and back, things of that nature. You can't fly overseas with it. The book, you can do all that and then some. So I usually recommend for your first time or whatever else getting both. That also being said, we'll get to that later. All right, so anyway, your name, everything on this should be done in lowercase lettering. Okay, lowercase lettering for everything throughout the entire form, other than when you sign your name, and if you can sign it that way too if you want. Jumping back, so other articles that you can use for your identification. Okay, you can use an affidavit of ID that you can create yourself. You can use a record of live birth instead of your certificate of live birth or birth certificate. So what I would do is I would put all of that in there if you have it. Okay. The reason why is we want to try to get away from using their federal IDs as much as possible. Some people have been getting some pushback, but it even says on there because you can do these things. So, for instance, instead of using like if you have a passport already, use the passport, okay, and then use like other forms of identification. So mix it up, but try to use, if you have to, put maybe one ID in there, like a state ID. Or if you have to use a driver's, use a driver's. But at least block out like the zip code, on there, which is what I would do. Some people will block out the last 4 of their driver's license number. Some people have been like, well, we have to be able to identify it. Well, you can see that it says your state on there. You can see the expiration date on there, so it's valid, okay? You don't have to prove federal jurisdiction, especially with the zip code. So if you wanted the ID and the record of live birth, I do have those available on my site, blacksite32.com. Otherwise, you can make your own. Just do the research, put everything in there as much as possible. Okay, moving along. Date of birth and all that. Sex, maybe. Um, Place of birth, you're going to want to put your city that you were born in and the country, which is the United States of America. Okay? We've already talked about why that's a trap. I'm not going to go through that now. Social Security number. Yeah, I don't like to particularly use it, but people have been getting pushback, even though by rights you don't have to use it. Some people, they'll let them time out, they'll take your money, or they, just will reject it, and then you got to, you know, resubmit it later. So just submit it. Otherwise, you could use a EIN number or something along those lines. And some people have been putting brackets because by the Four Corners rule, anything in brackets or a box means that it's not legally there. But this does give them a chance to update your file anyway, so they have it, and all they're going to do is search for it when you submit your application and connect it to the file anyway, if it even exists. That's what it is. All right, so email, primary phone, that's, whatever, yes or no if you want to. Most of this information, it doesn't say it's required, so you don't have to put it in there. They already probably have it, and it doesn't hurt for them to have like your email, whatever. They're not going to contact you. They have all that stuff anyway, guys, if you know what's really going on. And they don't bother you. I haven't been bothered yet. So, mailing address. Okay, so this is where you're going to want to put in your actual real address. The second line, you're going to put in care of and your name. Now, for those people who are doing common law name transitions, meaning you are slowly changing over your name so that you can get other IDs with it, they'll sometimes say, well, send us some registered mail with the name that you're going by on there. Well, for me, like normally, I go by Lord James C. Lovett for my nation. This is where I would want to put the Lord part of it in front of my name. That way they send it to me with that name on there. Okay? Then you're going to spell out the city in full, and you're going to spell out the state in full. Okay? So start over in the city boxes towards the end, and then let it end in the state box. Also new. There's no requirement that you have to use a zip code. So don't put a zip code here, because when you don't use your real address over in the permanent section, they're going to assume that this is your real address, and they might attribute this to being where you actually live, and once again utilize it as a jurisdiction. So we're going to put all zeros in the zip code box. Country, if outside the U.S., is the next question. Well, we don't know if they mean the United States territory or the country, the geographical landmass. So put in there USA, or United States of America, or United States of America Republic, even if it's write it in tiny writing. Number 9, other names used. If you have it, use it. If not, they have it already. Not a big deal. All right, going down. Your oath area, okay, the white box down below. For this, you are going to want to use your real name. Some people put UCC 1-308 over their name. A few people have had pushback on that, but most haven't had any problems, so that's up to you. I wouldn't recommend doing it beforehand. I would take your oath and all that stuff, then put your signature in, and then a real small UCC 1-308 if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, for those people who get the explanatory statement, it already covers that in there and protects you in that particular section as well. Because down below it says, blah, 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 if you feel a way about this, unless you provide an explanatory statement. So we do ours in there. Which, once again, that is available on my website. All right, so moving along, name of applicant. So this is really about you in this particular section. Last name, first name, middle name, that's fine. Nothing really there. Parents, you can put in any of this information if you want. If you don't know it or don't have it, don't worry about it. No matter what you do, though, for place of birth, put USA. Okay? U.S. citizen for mom and dad, for those people who are U.S. nationals. This is not for U.S. citizens. You put no to both of them, even though, yes, they might have a U.S. citizen side. In this particular application, we are only utilizing their U.S. national side. You have the ability to use the jurisdictions as you see fit, as long as you present yourself accordingly, and we're doing that here. So, number 11. Remember, number 11 is on the old DS-11s used to say just, are you a state citizen or are you a U.S. citizen? This question is about you, not your spouse. They want your spouse's information, but it's intertwined with you. So, if you have it, put it in there. If you don't want to use it, don't put it in there. Whatever, just make sure you check no to number 11 for U.S. nationals or state citizens, non-resident aliens, foreign nationals. Okay. Occupation, number 13. Be careful what you put in there, because if you drive, like, for instance, Uber, or you drive a mail truck or whatever else, I mean, those technically are federal jurisdictions. If you put your occupation down, that could bring you into their jurisdiction because you're admitting that you're driving or whatever else, okay? So if you do that, leave it blank. Remember, this is all educational purposes. You can do whatever you guys want to do. 14, employer or school. Well, if those things are federal owned or controlled, you're giving jurisdiction. I would avoid that. They don't need to know where you work, okay? You can put captain of my vessel, okay, which your body's considered a vessel, okay? So occupation, vessel owner. I mean, you're a living soul inside of a physical vessel. You are navigating it, okay? So be careful what you put down for that. If you don't have anything, just leave it blank. Draw a line through or put NA on there. Height and all that stuff, that's fine. Travel plans, we talked about that in another video. Permanent address is the big one here, guys. This is where the major jurisdiction is hauled in. You want to put rule-free delivery on there. Rule-free delivery, and it's okay because if you look at the explanation behind permanent address, it says you can use it on there. They have to provide remedy. Rule-free delivery means that you are operating, you or your domicile exists outside of their federal jurisdiction, okay? So rule-free delivery, write out your city, write out your state, all zeros for the zip code. After that, you're going to go to 20, emergency contact. You can put that information in there if you want. You don't have to. It's mostly if something happens to you when you're out and abroad and they need to let somebody know, hey, somebody's not making it home or somebody got muffed up. What do you want? That's where that comes in at. So whatever you do, fine. For that person, don't use a zip code. Once again, just because, and don't abbreviate the state. Just because they may not want to be known as a U.S. citizen, and you don't want to give them any form of jurisdiction whatsoever on that. Not if you're a U.S. national. Okay, and I don't know why people ask me this one, but 21, the last one. If you have a passport, book, or card, and you're updating or whatever else, then you are going to want to turn it in. Now, the hitch is this is off the record, educational purposes only. 9 times out of 10, they usually, if you tell them that you're updating, they're going to say, oh, well, you need to use a DS-82. And they're going to be like, well, you have a previous one or whatever else, DS-82, which you can use a DS-82 as long as you answered your parental questions properly on your first application or your previous application. Okay, because what happens is the DS-82 does not have the parental information. And if you mark citizens on there, then they're going to keep you in the citizen jurisdiction because you mark both your parents or even one of your parents were. That gives you the ability to go either way in your citizenship status. So, some people, to get around this, I'm not saying this is what you do, I'm not saying even that I've done it, but if you have lost your book or card or it was stolen,